Hey there, guys. Welcome back to week 4. So just another reminder, I'm getting emails from students like, why do I have a 0 for an assignment? I can't stress this enough. It is due at 7:30 the following Monday. I also sent you all an email through Schoology. So please understand, I am not playing this game of you turning in assignments when you feel like turning them in. A week is a long time. The assignments that I'm giving are not lengthy in nature, and this is a graduation requirement. So therefore, to do a few assignments each week and to look at a few videos each week is really not asking much. So again, I'm reminding you that you must turn assignments in for the following Monday. If you cannot, you must communicate. Don't communicate after the fact. You need to communicate prior to submitting the assignment as to why you can't. If that doesn't happen moving forward, the 0 is staying. Okay, so today we're going to get into more of the muckrakers. I want to share with you a slideshow with going over some of this. And at the end, there will be an exit ticket that I think you will need to be aware of and submit afterwards. So a couple of things here. When we talk about the muckrakers, this is going back to last week. Who were they? They were these people that were exposing a lot of the problems. And what were these problems right here? The rise of monopolies, child labor, unsafe working conditions, low wages, immigration. So there was a lot, right? Tenement life. All of this came as a result of the second industrialization. Or in the second industrial revolution, excuse me. So we're going to be looking this week at Jacob Riis. We're also going to be looking at Upton Sinclair, two of the muckrakers that exposed different issues. So it's an investigative journalist to expose political corruption, social injustice, the political cartoon here of Teddy Roosevelt, and the idea of exposing the meat scandal, which again is going to be what we're going to be looking at with Upton Sinclair. So why were they called it? Roosevelt gave this term out of sort of spite. He wasn't happy with all of these issues coming to light. So if you're raking muck, you're raking up the stink or the stench, and that's where he got the nickname for the muckrakers. So here's Upton Sinclair. We're going to read The Jungle this week. We're going to read an excerpt from The Jungle and answer some questions on that. He exposes the meat packing process and the filth associated with that, as well as the horrible working conditions in those meat packing plants. As a result, we get government reactions. So again, during this time period, we're looking at how does the country change for the better. In this case, the government gets involved and starts passing acts such as these, the Pure Food and Drug Act and the Meat Inspection Act. So Jacob Riis is the guy we're also going to look at this week. We're going to look at some of his photos. He wrote a book, How the Other Half Lives, but really he's famous for his photos of the poor living conditions, in particular for the immigrants. So again, showing you some of those photos there that you're going to have a chance to kind of flip through. Ida B. Wells, again, the Southern Horrors, talking about lynchings in the South. We'll get to this later in the unit. We'll kind of read something about this, about a lynching that occurred here, right here in our backyard at Coatesville. But Ida B. Wells, again, another muckraker exposing these issues and a founding member of the NAACP, which we'll also get to in the coming weeks here. Ida Tarbell, the history of Standard Oil. Rockefeller, one of the wealthiest citizens in our country, in the history of our country, owned Standard Oil and ultimately created a monopoly. And Ida Tarbell goes after that monopoly by getting the Supreme Court to see her case. So why were these investigative journalists have been instrumental in exposing the need for reform, right? They obviously, guys, back then, it's the only form of media, right? So it's through photographs and writings, and they fight to bring political and social justice. Okay, so Jane Addams, is another one who created the Hull House. who ultimately, if you think of it in today's terms, it's kind of like a modern day YMCA. It's not really a fair comparison, but it gives you an idea. For immigrant families, they would provide childcare, they would provide English lessons, they would, your basic necessities, things that immigrants would need to help to get a leg up and get a start in the country. Jane Addams creates this Hall House. She's also a founding member of the National Child Labor Committee. You can see a famous photo there of child labor, and was active in the suffrage movement. So Frances Willard, we start to see the temperance movement. When you hear temperance, it's that movement to ban alcohol. Suffrage, that term suffrage means the right to vote. So at this time, women still didn't have the right to vote. That doesn't come until the 19th Amendment. We'll get to that down the road as well. And it also influences the passage of the 18th. So your exit ticket, what you must answer. What was the impact of the muckrakers and reformers during the Progressive Era? This doesn't need to be any more than a paragraph, a few sentences. Just tell me that you looked at this video and you understand who the muckrakers are, all right? So either way, guys, let me stop sharing here. Hopefully we're getting a sense for who the muckrakers were. We're gonna look at, like I said, Upton Sinclair, Jacob Riis this week, two of the famous muckrakers, and then we'll continue to go through the Progressive Era in the coming weeks. As always, if you have questions or concerns, reach out to me, but hopefully, again, everything's going well with the start of your school year, and I'll see you next week.